Alright guys, how are you? Just doing this video really quick to help you do a good test on your 1 rep max on your squat and your bench and your deadlift. Right, so how to do it effectively and safely. Really quick video, just a couple of points that you need to know. So the first thing that you need to remember that on the day, remember that if you don't hit the numbers that you're going to hit, it's not the be all and end all. A 1 rep max is a great predictor of your strength progress. But what also is a good predictor of strength progress is if you are hitting more reps at 90% or more reps at 95% or 85% and so on, right? So a lot of times 1 rep max can come down to just the day that's in it as well. So even though you might be able to do 100 kilos today, you could test it tomorrow and it could be 105, or you could test it tomorrow and it could be 95, right? So it just depends what you've done on the weeks leading up. Did you do much of a deload? How many weeks have you missed on the previous 4 to 6 weeks? What's your eating been like? What's your sleeping been like? What are your stress levels like? Are you carrying any niggles? Did you do runs before, the 2 days before? All these kind of things, right? A lot of stuff plays a factor in how you feel on the day. Alright, but generally it's a good predictor of strength and it's going to be a lot of fun. So just make sure when you're going through the squat that it's not a powerlifting competition, so we're not going to be looking for loads of different rules that happen in powerlifting, which is squat, bench and deadlift, the sport of powerlifting itself. But what we're just mainly looking for is that your squat depth is good. So your hip crease, so that point with the blue arrow on the right, that's your hip crease. That needs to be below the level of the top of your knee line. Okay, so this is why me and Martin are going to be there judging your squat depth. If you're not low enough, you don't get the rep. So therefore, if you didn't go low enough, you can't base your next cycle off that squat number. Your depth is your depth. You only know if you're going to get stronger if you're going to the same depth all the time. If you squat high and you count it, well, you don't even know if you got stronger. You've just actually squatted a shorter distance than the last time. So we need to have a standard measurable. Next one is your deadlift. Main thing with deadlift is that you're going to find that you have a technical max and that you're going to find that you have a really ugly max also. So if you could deadlift 100 kilos with a flat back like the picture on the right, you probably would do 105 or 110 kilos, but it would look like the guy on the left. So if you do pull a rep and your back looks crappy, there's no point in you going up the weight, even though you feel like you could. This is the problem with the deadlift, and this is the main thing, the stupid thing that most people do. They'll let their ego take over. So don't let your ego take over. Once you hit your technical max on your deadlift, leave it there. And then the last one is the bench press. There'll be slightly different rules for the paused bench when you do the competition on Friday evening. But for the most part, if you are testing your bench, just make sure that it touches your chest and don't bounce it off your chest. If it doesn't touch your chest or you bounce it off your chest, it doesn't count. And here's how you would calculate the weights out on how you would go about testing either your squat, bench or deadlift. Some of you are familiar with this, some of you are not. I'll just run it through really quick. So whether you're doing your squat, bench or deadlift, first thing you're going to do is do the empty bar, 15 or 20 kilos, 10 reps twice. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to go to 50% of your previous 1 rep max, or what you think your 1 rep max is going to be if you have never tested it before. If you're not sure, please ask myself or ask Martin what you think you should be working off. So 50% of your 1 rep max or 60 kilos, whichever weight comes first. Do that 8 times. Then go to 70%, do that 5 times, 80% for 3 reps, 85% for between 1 and 2 reps. This is where you want to be sticking on the belt once you get to around 80-85%. If you haven't used a belt, do not use it. If you use it, use it. Don't do anything different on the week or on the day that you're testing. 90% by 1, 95% by 1, 100% by 1, and then 105% by 1. This is a new 1 rep max. The only exception is possibly, depending on how the weight is feeling, if it's feeling light, you may be able to leave out that 95%. You can go 90% to 100%. Something like that. If you're a little bit more experienced, you'll have a better idea of how the weight's feeling. An example of this, I'm not going to run through it, but if you want to have a look in more detail, just pause it on this part of the video and work out your your weights. So what you want to be doing before you come into the gym is have your weights already written down and what you're going to do. Right? Find out what your 1 rep max is, have an idea, and then calculate these out. And then just like last little point is don't test, right, if you're sore or you're injured, right? If you've got a niggly shoulder or niggly elbow, probably not the best idea to go and test your bench press. If you've got a niggly back or something like that, it's probably not the best idea to be going testing your squat or your deadlift. Or if you've got a niggly knee, don't test your squat, right? Play it smart. It's not the end of the world. We can bring the testing back a week, back 2 weeks. You're going to test again. Again, it's not the be all and end all. Do not do it if you are undoubtful or you're not confident. And if you're only in the gym a wet week, if you're relatively new, there's probably no point to you testing either, because technically you're not 100% sound yet, so it doesn't make sense to lift maximum loads. Alright, that's it. Best of luck next week during test week. A few of ye have already tested this week, done really good so far, and yeah, shoot me if you've any questions, leave them in the comments. Thanks.